but that's very 2009 because there were plenty of times where people were on Tumblr and they would accuse so many writers of like going on Tumblr for storylines. Like people accuse Steve Moffat of doing it for Sherlock. People accuse Doctor Who of doing it. People accuse Teen Wolf of doing it. I remember like I think it was Misha Collins, an actor from Supernatural. He talked about how he used to read like fan fiction on Tumblr or something like that. And, you know, it was just kind of like a thing because I think around that time, fan culture was like hitting a certain peak where like the stars could truly interact with fans in a different way. And of course, social media helped with that. And like, you know, with Scandal, you know, having like the hashtag and in the corner of every single episode, making the show trend like every single Thursday night at 10 o'clock, you know, that kind of like spurred on the social media interaction. But there have been times where like other creatives have been accused of taking storylines from fans. None that I've seen in proof, so to speak, but I do remember like some episodes like you're mentioning where like I do remember once a couple people online were talking about how like, oh, Santana and Brittany are into each other, like they're both gay for each other. And I was reading that and I was like, that doesn't seem to make sense because Santana sleeps with a lot of guys. Like she even slept with Finn, and she said that she slept with 20 guys. And in my head, when I watched that episode, I was like, "Girl, that's too many." But then I'm 13 years old. What do I know? You know? Yeah. So when she came out as a lesbian, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Now, did he get this from online, or did he just come up with this idea? Like, I'm bored, I'm done. Let's give her something new." You know?
I remember. I think. See, all this stuff is like stored in like my
the back
memory
of your brain.
Yeah. There was a passing line in season 2. I think it was season 2, because season 2 is when they decided to kind of build Brittany and Santana up as characters instead of just being like silent background people. Where do you remember the scene where they were having that phone conversation? It was like the 4-way phone conversation with Mercedes. And then those two, and then Artie and Tina were like sharing a phone. I think Kurt was there too. I don't remember. But Brittany says, oh, sex and dating are different because if sex were dating, then me and Santana would be dating. And it got like real quiet. Yeah. And then they just went on with the conversation.
Yes.
I think it spurred on from that. And then it just became like
its own thing.
Yeah. Like there's always like this underlying notion of like something is like haha a joke until it's not a joke anymore.
Yep. Like, let's just drop this little nugget here so that you guys can stew on it and see what people think. And it's like, okay, put that in next season.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
I honestly, there were so many times on Glee where I was like, that would never happen. Then it did. And I was like, oh, okay. Like Sam Sadie's did not think that would happen at all.
I wish that was a real storyline. Like, I wish that got the Finn Rachel treatment.
I do too. It was such just like 3 seasons of will they, won't. Well, almost 4 seasons of will they, won't they. Well, yeah, 3 seasons, because like I remember season 2 when like there were a few instances of Sam and Mercedes like sitting together, and I'd be like, oh, you know, it'd be really cute if they like had a thing. But in my mind, I was like, it's Ryan Murphy, so that would never happen. Especially because they kept pairing him up with like Quinn, Santana. I was like, he'll probably like end up being with like one of them. Like they'll be and then Santana ended up being lesbian. And it was like, oh yeah, that's obvious stuff. But I was like, he might get together with Quinn because Quinn was still going back and forth with like Finn and Puck. I'm like, what if Sam's like the secret third option? And then like Sam and Mercedes like hung out at prom, and I was like, what's happening here? Like, what are we doing? I was like, oh, this is cute. I'm glad to see their friendship. Like, and then like I distinctly remember the episode. They came back from nationals after they flopped because Finchel just decided to sabotage it for everybody. That scene when Blaine and Kurt were sitting at the Lima Bean and they're like talking, and then Mercedes and Sam came in together and they were like, oh, we just met in the parking lot. And they were like, oh, okay. And so they like go back to the conversation, and I'm like, oh, that was so weird. Like, what's that about? And I'm like, wouldn't it be like so funny?
Mm-hmm.
They were like,
just met in the parking lot. Like, y'all came together.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, I was thinking to myself as it was happening, like, wouldn't it be so funny if they were actually dating? And then it cut to them holding hands, and I went, oh my God. Yeah. And I like lost it. I was like, what? Mm-hmm. I was so excited. And then Cord left. And then he left. And I was like, wow, okay. So much for my dreams. Brought in Shane, her boyfriend for season 3. He was fine. He wasn't Sam, but he was fine. And Mercedes like, oh, that's just like a summer fling. It's whatever. And I'm like, you're a liar, but okay.
Yeah. All right. We're going to act like we're not hurt. You know, we're going to act like we're fine.
Yeah, I'm not sad about it. And then they released the trailer for Hold On to 16, where Sam's like, I'm going to fight to get you back. And I said, let's go. Let's go. I was so excited. They sabotaged that ship so bad. Like, I'm like, I remember the finale of the series finale where everybody was with their person. Like, Tina was back with Artie, even though I thought she should have ended up with Mike. And then we had Blaine and Kurt back together. We had Jesse and Rachel together. We had Brittany and Santana together. And then with Mercedes and Sam, it's just like, oh, like Mercedes. Well, this got cut, but apparently, like, Sam was talking to Will and was like, oh, Mercedes is saying that she's thinking of settling down. So he's just been holding out hope this whole time that she'll get back together with him. And then in the actual episode, like, Artie's like, oh, like, you know that Sam has been dating that girl who works at Jamba Juice or whatever. And Mercedes is like, oh, so why has he been texting me?
Oh. Oh, man.
I'm like, oh, this is the Sam Sadie's confirmation, huh? This is how we're going to end this series, with them just being a vague will they, won't they still. Like, Sam loves this girl. He would like literally dump everyone to be with her if she said, hey, I'm ready to get back together. And this is how we went. Okay. Sure.
You know, with every like fandom that you see, whenever a Black woman gets with a white guy, you know, people have some kind of issue with it. So it's very clear that Ryan Murphy never wanted to like solidify that they were together, or that they were dating, or like that they were endgame, because then that would spur on the fans. And out of all the things that he's willing to ignore from the fans that they don't like, he's not going to overlook giving like a black, you know, character, a black female character, a love interest, like a reciprocal, wholesome love interest. Like, that is just too much for him, apparently.
Honestly, yes, but also in the case of Sam Sadie's, I might disagree a little bit. Here's why. So I remember when Sam Sadie's was like sort of happening in season 3, the people that were working in the writer's room and the people who were working behind the scenes genuinely loved Sam Sadie's like a lot. I think it was unfortunately like, and I think one of my bigger questions is like how they would have handled Sam Sadie's had Cord not left at the beginning of season 2. Like in season 3, I mean, at the end of season 2 into beginning of season 3, if they had Cord from the beginning of season 3 onward, how would they have handled Sam Sadie's? Probably sloppily, but I would have loved to have seen like the connection from the end of season 2 into season 3 as they approach, like, because I think they did a retcon. I think Sam is supposed to be the same age as Mercedes, but for whatever reason, they decided he was a junior and she was a senior. Happened there. But like, what would have happened? And they kept returning to the subject, which made me think, and the stories, like the way they were written was very good, I think, all things considered. So I think on some level, they genuinely did like Sam Sadie's. They just didn't know what to do with them. And when you don't know what to do with a couple, you just break them up continuously. Because it's like, oh, well, we have to get back together now. How are we going to do that? I also think it was a mix of like, in order to like have a concrete relationship with Sam, they would have to bring back Amber. Because by season 3, she was going to graduate. Like, Mercedes was going to leave. She wasn't going to be back for season 4. Sam was still in high school. So it was like a very unfortunate timing thing. And it's very weird that a lot of the fandom who didn't necessarily ship Sam with anyone genuinely did like Sam Sadie's. From what I see, I think the main people who sent hate to Amber over Sam Sadie's were like people who shipped like Quinn and Sam, or Kurt and Sam, or Blaine and Sam.
Wait, Kurt and Sam?
Yeah, there was a running theory that Sam was originally brought onto the show to be Kurt's love interest.
Mm.
And I can kind of see why they would feel that way, because there's like some hints of that in early season 2 when Sam first gets here, because like Sam is supposed to be Kurt's like partner when they do the duets. And Sam's like, oh, I'm cool with it. Like, I don't care that Kurt's gay, like whatever. And then he gets made to feel insecure about it, so he decides to sing with Quinn instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that theory that Sam was originally supposed to be Kurt's love interest, and then they brought in Blaine, and so it switched to Blaine. Mm-hmm. I don't know how true that is. But that was the theory, because they heard that they brought in a new character to be Kurt's love interest, and I think we saw Sam before we saw Blaine. Yeah. So they skipped Sam. But yeah, still, there were people that shipped Sam and Kurt the entire time. There were people that shipped Blaine and Sam after, like during season 4 and after. Obviously, there are people that shipped Quinn and Sam through season 2 onward. But everyone else who didn't really care who Sam was with, they tend to like Mercedes and Sam together. But sometime around season 5, you could tell that Amber was just kind of like whatever about the ship.
Yeah.
Because I remember the episode, I think it was Tested. I think she was supposed to lose her virginity to him, and she said that she decided that she didn't want Mercedes to lose her virginity to Sam. And I was like, interesting.
I feel like that makes sense, because if you don't have a strong enough relationship with this character and you feel like the love interest isn't being taken seriously as other love interests on the show, and it feels like something of an afterthought, then why would you do something as serious as like losing your virginity? Because like there are a lot of things that happen on that show that like are so unserious, and you know, a lot of characters on that show lost their virginity to the wrong person, you know. So I understand Amber being like, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah,
like, no, it's
I
not
think
earned.
I was a little bit frustrated because we got to see like basically every other couple engage in some sort of intimacy except Mercedes and Sam. Like we would see them make out, but sometimes it was done for like comedic effect, not because it was like, oh, we're watching a couple engage in intimacy in ways that couples do.
Yeah.
Like we got to see like, oh, you know, Rachel and Finn would like cuddle, or like we got to see like Kurt and Blaine have like a really nice intimate moment together. And it's like, we never got that with Mercedes. And I hated that so much, because I'm like, as someone who's like a chubby Black girl, I was like, I would like to see her be loved, you know, openly, which Sam did do sometimes, but it didn't feel as, it felt like they were hesitating. Like they didn't want to put too much into it, because it's like, oh yeah, like Sam loves her. But it was always like, it always kind of felt like a wall was there. Like she wouldn't really engage with him the way that he engaged with her, which I understand in the context of the show because he was dating everybody. But I'm like, it doesn't have to be like that. They made it that way.
Yeah, I also don't like how on Glee, it seemed like most of the actors, I don't want to say passed around, but like, we really were dating each other. Like we were.
Yeah, everyone was dating. I think the only people who didn't really date everyone, Mercedes and Mike, were the only two who didn't really date everybody. Because I almost said Rachel, and I'm like, no, Rachel dated a lot of people too. Mm-hmm. She literally dated Sam, Finn, Jesse, and Puck over the course of the series.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It is.
With Glee being, I don't want to say Ryan Murphy's magnum opus, so to speak, but like it's his most notable work. Mm-hmm. That's easy to say. And then following Glee, of course, there are so many other projects that he started doing afterwards. And it's interesting for me to see how Ryan Murphy literally like not skyrocketed, but like obviously Glee, and then American Horror Story was coming out around the same time as Glee. So
yeah, a few years after.
So with Glee being as pivotal as it was, and then American Horror Story really having like that self-contained story that so many people enjoyed, it did push for him to have other shows coming out like Feud, American Crime Story, Pose, things like that. Would you say that you continue to watch a lot of his work after Glee? Because for me personally, I think the only thing I really watched past Glee that he had done was American Crime Story. I tried to watch The People versus OJ, but I think I just wasn't interested in it because, like, I don't know, maybe I don't care about the story of OJ, but, like, I tried watching The People versus OJ, and then I watched Pose, which I love and adore, and I started watching 911 because it was so much fun. Had no idea it was a Ryan Murphy project, but I was curious to see, like, have you watched his other works, and what are some things about his other works that obviously hint to the fact that like this is a Ryan Murphy project?
So I did watch American Horror Story up until season 5, if I remember correctly. I didn't watch. I think the last. Let me double check because I think the last season I watched was Freak Show, which was season 4, I think.
Okay.
Because I know the way I know how I don't trust Ryan Murphy. So I always assume that after season 3 the show will go downhill.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of his MO. Yeah, season 4 was the last season I watched because I remember, so again, like a staple of Ryan Murphy shows is that after season 3 it will go downhill. Season 4 of American Horror Story, they set up this like villain who was terrifying. Twisty the Clown. So scary. So scary. They killed him off halfway through the season. And then made the villain like a spoiled white man. A spoiled human white man.
Okay.
Yes. And I said, okay. So I'm not watching the show anymore.
Yeah.
I said I can't. And to answer your question, one of the things that kind of sticks out about Ryan Murphy shows, aside from like the way it's filmed, because I feel like Glee Glee, Scream Queens 2, Glee, Scream Queens, and American Horror Story are both filmed in like very specific ways. I don't know how to properly explain it, but there are a lot of like pivots to like people's expressions, or like someone will be talking, it'll cut to the other person being like, lots of that. The way the dialogue is written, very like quick, very quippy. And we spoke about this like off camera, but we were saying how we noticed that a lot of times people say like the wildest thing you've ever heard in your life with like a deadpan expression, and no one else in the room will register how crazy it sounds, unless with the exception being in Glee, like Brittany would say something and everyone would be like, what
girl?
But like it'll be like someone will say like the most asinine thing you've ever heard, and everyone's just like, wow, that's so offensive, and then the conversation just keeps going. And that happens a lot in American Horror Story, and it happened a lot in Scream Queens. So that's like a staple. You can always tell when something is written by Ryan Murphy because it just it goes off the beaten path. Like it's crazy just the way things the characters say.
There's sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I do remember watching Scream Queens, and Chanel, I believe. Chanel number 1? Yeah. Emma Roberts' character. There would be times where she would be saying something that was absolutely terrible, especially to, I don't remember the actress's name. I know that she's a child actress. She was in Little Miss Sunshine. But whenever she spoke to her, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like awful. And I feel like when I was watching Scream Queens, that's when I started like really looking into like stuff about Ryan Murphy, what people would say about him online, and then
Mhm.
people would be like, "Oh my gosh, look at Emma Roberts playing herself," and I was like, "Playing herself? What am I missing here?" And that's when I learned that she is not a very nice person. So seeing her like play a character that is like literally berating people,
Mhm.
in a way where it's like not nice at all, and then the fact that like Ariana Grande was supposed to be on that show, and
She
then
won't.
she died in the first like few minutes. I was like, that's when you alarm bells go off. That's when it's like, oh, someone was not happy here. Like,
Either that or they couldn't afford to keep her there for that long. That was my guess.
mm-hmm.
I think, well, I mean, considering the fact that the show was like built on like being a slasher, it kind of reminded me a little bit. Have you ever seen the first Scream movie?
Yeah.
So remember, do you know how like on the poster they have like Drew Barrymore like almost front and center? And so it's like, oh, Drew Barrymore is going to be in this movie, da da da. And then you watch the movie, she gets killed in like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. It's like people know Ariana Grande is going to be on the show, and she's like one of the biggest names on here. But like she's on there, she gets killed, and then the show just kind of keeps going without her. Like it's like, oh, that's kind of funny. But I mean, we knew she wasn't the star. We just knew she was on there. And it's really interesting because like Keke Palmer was on there too, and she lived. She became like a fan favorite. And like, yeah, like it's between like Emma Roberts and Lea Michele. It's like there's a pattern I'm noticing here where his stars have like a really negative reputation, and he's just like, perfect, let me use this for this character. Like everyone thinks they're demonic. Let's go.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're a creative that continues to work with people that are like openly difficult, like you know that they're difficult, there is something where you're just willing to overlook that, like overlook how they act around people or how they treat people, because you know that their specific kind of cattiness influences the characters that you write for them. So he's just willing to just like let it be what it is, and you see how he like uses the same actors over and over and over again in his shows. And, there are times where I will see a new Ryan Murphy project, and in my head, I'm just like, I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to enjoy this. This is not for me. But he'll cast somebody that I know and love, like Gabourey Sidibe being in American Horror Story was like, maybe I will watch it just to support her, because I do want to support it. Because like, I'm glad that she got booked on something. Or seeing Philip Sousa, I believe, on Dr. Odyssey, and it's like, I might have to watch it because I actually love Hamilton and I love her and I'm glad that she's in this. But at the same time, casting these people that are like terrible, treat people, unfairly. The fact that like Emma Roberts was like completely horrible to Angelica Ross on American Horror Story, I think, to the point where like Angelica Ross left the show, talked badly about it, and Ryan Murphy as well online and social media. I just find him to be so annoying and also like despicable at times.
It's very fascinating because there are a lot of actors who you can tell that like they may not have loved their experience on the show, but they like Ryan Murphy. Or like the fascinating thing was, and they call this a recession indicator, Diana Agron showing up on Dr. Odyssey. And everybody was like, girl, you're acting again? 1, 2, you're acting with Ryan Murphy again?
Yeah.
Because, like, notoriously, she was not treated very well behind the scenes on Glee. Like, he wrote her character like garbage and was not very nice to her. I guess it's been 10 years since the show ended, and a lot of stuff can be resolved in 10 years, but like to see her on another Ryan Murphy show, knowing what we know, it's like interesting. And then she started hanging out with like Lea Michele again, and I was like,
Lord, her and Darren Criss, why would you do this to me?
well, he and Lea have been really close, like forever.
Really?
Yeah, like the three who always like hung out, even when everyone else was like not really fucking with Ryan Murphy. It was always Lea, Cord, and Darren would always hang out together.
That does make sense because he was in the assassination of Giovanni Versace.
Mhm.
right? And then he did win a Golden Globe for his role in that show. So it makes sense because, like, you see Ryan Murphy, he's a powerhouse in Hollywood. He is able to get all these shows greenlit. And, you're thinking, like, hey, I ask him for a role in one of his 7 shows that are coming out this year. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to make some money.
Yeah. That's basically how, oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Glenn Powell kind of like got a bit of a jump start in his career too. Like, he was doing stuff before Scream Queens, but like being in Ryan Murphy's network can work wonders apparently, because it's like you're Cord Overstreet's roommate hanging out on set.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan Murphy's like, hey, I'm doing this new show. Want you to play this character. You are on Scream Queens. You become like a fan favorite because everyone thinks you're so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just start doing stuff from there. And it's like, yeah, no wonder everyone wants to be in this man's orbit, because he's like a star maker, essentially. Or it's like, if you're like an actress from like the 70s or 80s and you're older and you're not really getting a lot of work now, Ryan Murphy will be like, hey, I loved you in that really obscure movie from like 1973. You want to be in my show? And you play like this really funny, sassy older woman who has like all these zippy lines, and everyone in like the millennial and Gen Z generation suddenly know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you want to reconnect with Ryan Murphy?
They start making fan edits of you. You have to hire somebody to manage your Instagram. Like, suddenly you're being interviewed by W Magazine. Like, you're back in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. Or in the case of even like the cast of Pose, a lot of them were just like girls who lived here in New York, like were just kind of in the ballroom scene, or they were kind of working actresses who didn't really do too much. And they get plucked out of God knows where, and they're like, hey, you want to be in the show?
Mm-hmm.
It's about like, the trans experience in 1980s New York City. You want to do this? And it's like, yeah. And they're on covers of magazines and attending award shows. And unfortunately, a lot of them didn't get the awards recognition they should have gotten.
Mm-hmm. Which is still very disappointing.
It is. I think MJ Rodriguez is the only one who got a Golden Globe, and they didn't even air her win because it was during COVID. And I'm like, jeez.
Do you know what Billy Porter said in the interview?
Yes. He was essentially, he was like, oh, like, they're only nominating me because I've been at this for a really long time. You have to wait your turn. And I was like, that makes no sense, because you wouldn't even be in the same categories. Like, why couldn't they nominate you and then also some of the girls from the cast?
He didn't want to share the win.
He got nominated more than once for this role. And I'm like, so what's the excuse the second time?
Yeah.
Like, that irritated me to no end, because I was like, yes, you deserve the recognition, but also so do they, because for the most part, we're watching the show for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people did like Pray Tell until a certain point, but like, the girls are like the heart of the show. They are like the heart and soul of the show, and they were not getting the recognition they deserved. And instead of advocating for them and saying like, I'm happy that I got nominated, but I also really wish that like my girls got nominated too, because they're so talented, and like I want them to be here with me, like celebrating this together. I want us to all be like recognized for this. It's, oh, wait your turn. I've been here a while, and you'll get your turn. I swear. Where is it then? Where is their turn?
I feel like Billy Porter does not realize that he's not Emma Roberts. Like, you can't act snarky to people and expect people to be okay with that because Ryan Murphy has booked you in this role. Because how long are you going to be opposed? And what next project has he promised you? Emma Roberts is literally on his Rolodex every single time he has a new season of American Horror Story or, whatever show he's doing. She is there. He has called her first. Like, by the time FX has cleared that new season, he's like, girl, you better pack your bag. We about to go. I'm in the right room right now. Like, you're not her. You're not Emma Roberts. You're not Evan Peters, because he's always calling that boy up for whatever he wants to do. So he seemed to I feel like, Billy Porter definitely got a little too big for his britches in a way, because for me, Pose, it is very similar to a lot of Ryan Murphy shows where, you have the Reeds. You know, you have the musicality, you have the dramatics, you have the campiness. And the campiness works because you're following the lives of, you know, the girls, the dolls. And first season, I believe, is the 80s in New York. And I think that the show has like such beautiful moments of like of levity, but then you also have to juxtapose to like the AIDS crisis that's happening. That's seriously happening in that time for many, you know, LGBTQ people. And I think that because the show did take like a lighthearted tone at sometimes, some of the more serious moments hit too hard in terms of like the tonal shift of what's going on. And I do think that even though Ryan Murphy and Jeanette Mock like creating the show, they're both, I think that Janet Mock is really the person that like held down the show and kept it real in a way, because I don't really want to know what Ryan Murphy would have been doing if he didn't have like a black trans woman at the helm by his side. He was smart enough to do that, thank goodness. But when we get to, what is it, season 2? Is it?
Wait. When what happened?
When Pray Tell was with the boy.
Yeah, that was season 2, because by season 3, I think it was Ricky had already left.
They did different decades each season, right?
No, I think it was like late 80s into the early 90s, wasn't it? So it was like, yes, it was like years, like not too far apart, but like it would be like 88, 89, 90 or something like that.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. But when Pray Tell, you know, slept with that boy who was very young, there was a conversation being had online. And really, for me, it really just felt like Ryan Murphy just kind of like, he was dipping his toes into a pool that he was not welcome in. You know, you're writing a story with characters that, like, you have a TV show that has a cast of people that you have not been known to fully cast in your shows. 1 or 2, maybe 3, but a full cast? No. That's not typical of your shows. So now we're getting into a territory that like we've seen his shows before, you know, like the older younger dynamic, you know, and you know, in this show he can't bring up pregnancy like he does in every other show he does, so like he has to bring in something. And I feel like the conversation that was being had online in regards to this, for me personally, I do not have any knowledge or any understanding of it really, because I'm not a black gay man, but like I think Ryan Murphy was trying to add something to the show to make it more juicy and more spicy when like we didn't need that. There was enough going on. You did not need to put your Ryan Murphy signature on there, girl. Like
I remember the conversation. People were really frustrated because they were like, in the real world, like not only is this like a really terrible thing that happens, like older men taking advantage of younger men, but it's also like Pray Tell was considered like a mother figure to the younger cast. Like that's like the person who looks out for them and is like taking care of them, showing them how to navigate this scene if they're new, or like, you know, bringing them into the fold. And to have him sleep with one of them, it's like you're shattering trust between these characters, where it's like, I can come to you as like a parent, a parental figure, and you're sleeping with one of us. It's like, well, then it's like, how can I look at you the same way when it's clear that you're not a safe person to be around? Especially if like the person you're sleeping with is my partner. Like, what is this?
That's a huge breach of trust.
A gigantic breach of trust. But also, I'm deciding whether or not, maybe. So there's, so Janet Mock was dating the one who played Lil Poppy. I forget his name. Angel? Yeah, they were dating in real life. Janet Mock was in her 40s, much older than him. He was in his 20s. She was like a grown woman. And I remember this video floated around the time that they were doing the finale. They were doing they had like some sort of reception. And Janet was
going off.
Yeah.
I remember that video.
Yeah, she's talking about, and I cheated on him and he forgave me. And like, I love him so much. And like, da 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 da. And everybody was like, what? Like, we knew that they were dating, but like, it was a lot because we were like, girl, why are you getting on stage? And it's also like really weird with power dynamics because you're an executive producer and he's a new actor in his 20s. This is his first big role and it's kind of icky. And you made it weird because now you're advertising that you treated him bad and he forgave me. And it's like, oh, and now we have not heard from Janet Mock since. It's like, what like now it kind of makes you wonder like how much of this influenced the plot.
Yeah, because I think she also mentioned how like she was like, somebody needs to pay me my money, like Ryan Murphy has to pay me. I was like, girl, he's right there asking for your money. Like that, I feel like there were a lot of things behind the scenes of Pose where once the show was getting more traction and more popularity, this happens with any show, but like the messiness behind the scenes pours out. But it sucks because I love Pose so much as a show with like a mainly like trans, especially like Black female trans cast, to have like, you know, things happening by scenes is not new for any show. But because when you're like the trailblazer, when you're the first, people expect you to come into the zeitgeist without any faults, without any kind of smudges. And when you do, which is human, it does hurt the show. It sometimes hurts the cast. And I feel like that's really, you know, it is disappointing in a way. Like, you're right. Like, her dating the co-star, definitely, like, inappropriate. But I feel like it also speaks to, you know, some of the other things we hear about with Ryan Murphy sets and, like, how he treats actors and, like, this kind of attitude that he has towards his other actors, letting Emma Roberts be in every single TV show he makes, and then like just kind of being okay with like actresses who don't treat people well, and then, you know, the way he handles certain stories, it all feeds into each other in a way.
It does, and it's unfortunate. Like, it's like, will there be another show like Pose? I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope there's, or even like, if it's not exactly like Pose, because I love historical drama, so I'm always going to be happy to see another show about like queer history. But even if there's a show with like a majority trans cast or like queer and trans cast, where it's just like almost like a Glee where everything is like kind of like campy and kind of fun and very silly, but just with a queer cast of color, I would love that. Like that would make me so happy. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I would love to see that, but it's also like discouraging because it's like, how is it that we had like this show that was so trailblazing and started so many conversations and we haven't had a show like it since?
Yeah, like any kind of follow-up. You're right, because that is kind of like the double-edged sword with Ryan Murphy. He does create a lot of shows where like he casts, you know, an array of actors, but also like the LGBTQ representation in a lot of his shows is so important, and not many other creatives are doing that. And because he is such a, I don't want to say champion, but like he's leading, you know, not the conversation. Trend. Yeah, he's kind of leading the conversation when it comes to like LGBTQ, like casting, stories, TV shows, all of that. And I think that Hollywood also uplifts him because he's kind of like the only person doing it, and it gives everyone else a slap on the wrist where like they don't have to in a way, or like they can still get away with like, oh yeah, there's that one character who's gay, or like here's this one character we say is bisexual but we don't show that they're bisexual, and we say it after the movie comes out, and you guys can just infer from a couple of scenes, but we don't need to say it for real, you know. And people are okay with letting Ryan Murphy take lead the charge on it, because if no one else has to do it and he's doing it himself, then like that's fine. We'll let that be his thing. And I was looking on TikTok for like more things about Ryan Murphy that I may have missed on YouTube, and there were a couple people calling him the white Tyler Perry, and I don't know how I didn't see that, but now I do see that, because when you mentioned that he will call up some 70s actress in some obscure movie to be in his TV show, it's like, that is Tyler Perry with Cecily Tyson.
Yes.
Cecily Tyson, Maya Angelou, Taraji P. Henson. Like, just
like calling whoever, like, hey, you need a role? I got you. Let's get this together. Like, and they'll just be like, oh my God, I love Tyler Perry. Like, let's work together again. Let's be in all these movies. It's like, oh my God, like, yeah, he pays you well, but look at the quality. I guess if you're getting paid, you don't care about the quality.
Mm-hmm. And also, I feel like a lot of actors are just kind of like, it's work.
Yeah.
You know, he works hard. He does it all by himself, and we have to respect him for that. You know, like sometimes it's not going to be the best, but, you know, he's putting in his best effort. And I do think that Tyler Perry respects the actors that he works with, obviously enough to pay them well. But like another form of respect is giving your actors a project that they can be proud of and that they can really stand beside and like be happy for. You know, like you don't see Taraji mentioning Tyler in any other interview except when she's promoting him.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
I think it's kind of like I think it's kind of like a weird sort of thing where it's like in the case of Tyler Perry and the case of Ryan Murphy, they can open the door, but there are going to be younger generations behind them who are like, I don't like the way they're doing it, so I'm going to do it differently and better. And I would say that's like probably the most compelling thing about just like, they are flawed, right? Creators, like they are flawed artists for sure. But I do kind of like the way that like me and a lot of my friends who watched Ryan Murphy's projects discovered a lot about ourselves as writers through it. Like me, like I was writing so much Glee fan fiction, like so much. I have like on my Tumblr an entire page just full of fan fiction that I wrote because I was like, I don't like the way he wrote this. I'm going to write it differently.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or like, I would like to explore the relationship between these two characters. I have like an entire tag full of like Quinn and Mercedes content because I was like, he had this character watch the birth of her baby. She was living in her house. And in season 2, he just forgot that they were ever friends. And I said, I want to navigate this more. So I wrote an entire like one shot where I was like, Mercedes confronts her and is like, hey, like what happened? You're not talking to me anymore. You're like, I see you're starting to like feel better and you're like at my house all the time and you're kind of like sort of reconnecting with your mom, but like you're not really my friend anymore. What's going on? And Quinn's like, oh, you know, I'm going back on the cheerleading team. And Mercedes is like, well, what about me? Like, it's like, these are the things like filling in the gaps that these writers are overlooking. And I understand there's a lot of stuff that they're writing and they can't do it all. But what I mean all this to say is like seeing them put out all of these projects and inspiring another generation of writers who are like, I like writing about people who look like me, people who are in the same community as me. I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm going to do it like my way. And that's how we get like a bunch of people who are doing like independent movies about like queer and trans people of color navigating life. And it's not always a tragedy. Sometimes it's like so joyful and so great. Or even just like stories about like Black women who are navigating womanhood and their own queerness, or just navigating like growing up and being confused about life. Like, it's so great to see like how, even though I don't like them, Tyler Perry and Ryan Murphy kind of branched, like created just like so many branches of creative individuals. So I guess that would be like his legacy, is that Ryan Murphy sucks. Yeah. But I know so many people. It's wild when, like, to go back to like our original point, Glee was a phenomenon. Like, it's very hard to understand it from this perspective unless you were there and saw it as it was happening. You will not understand like how big Glee was. You can find like millions of people who saw at least the first 3 seasons, and they may not have been deep into the fandom, but they know enough about it to understand like what the show was. And like, I know so many people who are in the fandom who are like one of my friends who I met in the Glee fandom, like, is like works for NPR. Like, and I have other friends that are authors and other friends who are like so talented, these talented people who are writing Glee fan fiction and just went on to become like amazing people. Or like were in Glee role plays and went on to like do like crazy artistic stuff. So like, can we thank Ryan Murphy for that? Maybe. I don't want to give him the credit because I hate him. But like, if Glee had not existed, I often wonder like, where would I be as a creative? Like, would I would have I been as enthusiastic about writing when I was a teenager had Glee not existed? Like, what would have been my hyper focus?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I hate that. I hate that so much. But like, I'm also kind of thankful that Glee existed, because I'm like, yeah, like, it was my own little show. It stole like 10 years of my life, but
yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I think with Glee, now that I'm thinking about it, when I was younger, I do remember people talking about like how like they didn't like Glee, they didn't think it was good, like, oh, the singing's good, but like, you know, they ruined Journey music and stuff like that, like they were Journey songs. And me being a fan, I didn't care. I didn't care what anyone had to say, because this is my show. This is my thing. This is something that I'm interested in. This is something I love. And when I was, you know, younger, just getting into it, like I was very attached to the show and everything about it. But I was also attached to like the identity of what it meant to be an outcast and to find like that small space where you can be like yourself with other people. And they are kind of like this found family that you have. And I think that Glee really like solidified for me that little part of myself of what it means to find like your community of people that are just as weird as you, but like that's okay, because you're all a little bit weird together. So it's not like you're that much of an outsider. You're not that strange, because they accept that part of you. And I love that about Glee. I enjoyed that. And after Glee was over, I think I never really found any interest in other Ryan Murphy projects other than like Pose and 911. And I think it may have been the content, really. And I feel like other people were attached to Ryan Murphy because they loved Glee so much that they just liked everything else that he did, because they became attached to Ryan Murphy and his productions and his style, because he does bring a similar style to all of his projects. But for me, Glee was really the only thing that stood out to me, just because of like the content of what the show was about. And now looking at this generation, I was thinking, while I was like working on this outline, I was thinking like, what show is out now that's kind of like this generation's Glee? And it's Riverdale. Like, love it and hate it. It is Riverdale. Because when I started watching, I tried to watch Riverdale. I watched the first episode and I was like, I actually need to turn this off, because I actually don't care. This is obviously not for me. But seeing certain people like be really into Riverdale and enjoy the show and like it and be interested in the cast and the actors of the show, and then seeing how like the cast and the actors are, it's like, this is kind of like Glee. Like these bitches are singing in some of these episodes. Like, tell me it's not. Like, someone went to jail and they got out of jail. Like, someone
got attacked by a bear.
Got attacked by a bear. They're like
dragged into the sewers.
There is like the first season is like a murder mystery, and the second season is something completely different, and then the next season, and then the next season. And there are people who are attached to the show who started watching it, you know, in season 1, and even though they know it's not the best, it's because they're just so deep in it that they can't let it go. And that's how I felt after season 3 of Glee. Like, after Rachel went to New York, I was kind of like, well, what am I watching this for? Because like the main cast is mainly gone, but like I kept watching regardless, because I was like, hey, I might as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's still on. I'm still here. I still enjoy it. They still sing the same songs. And you know what? Yeah. I think I just got really attached to Darren Criss as well, because he was in this independent theater group, Star Kid.
Oh, yeah, I know Star Kid. I used to watch a Harry Potter musical.
Oh, my gosh. I still watch Star Kid to this day. That's the one thing I haven't let go. I still watch Star Kid to this day. They actually have a new musical. They have a couple of new musicals out. The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals is good. Black Friday. And then they had another one that came out, Nerdy Prudes Must Die. And they released another one called Cinderella's Castle, which I haven't watched yet. But besides the point. I think that the legacy of Ryan Murphy is that, like, he himself has shown himself to be able to make TV shows that people will watch. And not only that people watch, millions of people will tune in to watch it. And it does not matter the quality. People will tune in regardless. His name is attached to it. He has the same actors he uses all the time. Evan Peters, Emma Roberts, Sarah Paulson, you know, and he will bring in big name actors into his projects to solidify his claim to fame. Like, he had Cuba Gooding Jr. in People vs. OJ. He had Courtney oh my gosh, Courtney Robinson, I believe, Bassett's husband.
Oh, Courtney B. Vance.
Courtney B. Vance, my bad. Yeah, Courtney B. Vance. He had Kim Kardashian in that last season, I think, of American Horror Story. So
He also had Nick Jonas in Scream Queens.
he did have Nick Jonas in Scream Queens, and let me tell
He
you,
had Lady Gaga in American Horror Story.
oh my god, I forgot about that. Yes. Oh my gosh. Also, he also has Matt Bomer and I think Zachary Quinto in a couple of his projects, especially Matt Bomer. I think he's been in a couple of them. Also, Angela Bassett, I should mention. I mentioned her husband. She has been in American Horror Story as well. And Jessica Lange as well. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has like a signature. He has the set cast. He has the campy style. And and since people associate all those things with him and every single thing that he makes and he does, people will be interested in it. And even if his name isn't directly on the project, he knows how to make a show that's interesting, that's catchy, and people will watch and people will be invested in. Like 911, I love that show. I did not know he was attached to 911, but you know, it makes sense because in the first episode, one of the new firefighters punches a snake in the face. And it's like, girl, nobody does that. Nobody does that. But you know what? It works. At one point in the show, there was a tornado full of bees heading to Los Angeles. At another point, there was a 3-train pileup on the side of a mountain, and Angela Bassett, that police officer, was the only first responder on the scene for an hour.
Oh my god.
That's what happens in 911.
I feel like he just throws things at a dartboard and it's like, what can I do this to?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I have a really interesting question to ask you. It might be a little introspective, maybe not. Do you think that if Glee had come out when you were older, like let's say you're the age you are now when Glee came out, do you think you would have watched it?
I don't think I would have watched it. I think I probably would have like seen a few episodes maybe, or like seen a few clips online, but I probably wouldn't have watched it just because like when Glee came out, there was no musical TV show. Like I think a musical TV show was like something that was pretty much unheard of. Not unheard, but like
there was one.
Which one?
It was called because I remember my parents talking about it when Glee first like came out. They were like, there was a show Cop Rock that was on Fox like in the 90s, and it was like singing cops, and it flopped. Like it had one season and no one watched it, and then it flopped. So when like Glee came about, they're like a musical television show. Like we already did that and it didn't work, but it worked this time.
Yeah. And I think because at the time it came out in 2009, there was such like social media, increased fan presence, and also like the campiness of the show. It really just like made it kind of explode. If it came out now, I do think that it would also do well. Just seeing the success from like Wicked, you know, with people enjoying that, I'm sure like if it came out now, it would do well. But like, I don't think I would be interested in it. I feel like I would see other people that are into it and I'd be like, oh, good for you. That's good for you. But then I would be like, no. Because like Prom came out as well on Netflix. And I was like, I'm not watching that. That's not for me.
Right. Well, what about if like, I guess it's like a flip of the question. If you were the age you are now in 2009, like all of this was brand new, do you think you would have watched it back then? Like as an 2000? No.
If I was the age I was in 2009, I would have watched half the things I was watching. I wouldn't have watched Supernatural. I wouldn't be watching Merlin. I wouldn't be watching Doctor Who. I wouldn't have been watching Teen Wolf. I would have turned that off. Because now that I'm older now, like I watch TV, but like I watch the news a lot more. I have turned it to my parents. Like PBS NewsHour, you know, when that's live on YouTube, I turn that on. I'm in the comments. Like that's what I watch now. Like I'm an adult, you know, but I still, you know, dabble in the streaming, but I don't think I would have been interested in it. I feel like it was really a lightning in the bottle kind of moment for me where like if I hadn't watched it at the time and at the age I was and with everything else going on in my life, like I probably would have been a completely different person.
I agree. Like, I think a part of me feels that deep connection to Glee because I watched it when I watched it. Like, I was like, it came out when I was 15 years old and I was in choir and I was like having questions about my sexuality and my relationship with my body and my relationship with my friends. And then the show comes out and I'm like, I like singing. I like music. I like pop culture. So let me watch it. And like, I don't think I would have watched it if I were 2009, because I would have been like, what the hell is this? Like, this is for kids. I did watch the first season of Riverdale to a certain point. And I did get the same, no, I can't say I did get the same energy from Riverdale that I did with Glee, because I think Riverdale in the first season took itself very seriously, as opposed to Glee, which never took itself seriously. But I do think that if I had watched Riverdale when I was 15, I probably would have stuck with it.
Yeah, me too.
And that's how I know, like, it's definitely an age thing where it's like, I can't see myself watching like both of these shows at 30, but I can see myself watching both of these shows at 15, because like when you get to a certain age, you watch these shows and you're like, okay, like this is like, you can handle ridiculousness up to an extent, but like, it's like, do I want to see, like, for instance, in Riverdale, a teenager doing a striptease for a bunch of grown men? No. I'm an adult. I don't want to see that. But at 15, I would have been like, oh, this is, ooh, like, you know, it's.
Yeah, I think it's also a maturity level, because like, even though people get older, like, they're still not mature, because I know plenty of adults that watch Riverdale and they're like, I know it's bad, but it's like, it's campy and it's fun. I'm like, girl, the brain is not all the way here, because like, the same thing, I am seeing what you're seeing, but like, you're not seeing it the way that I'm seeing it, you know?
Yeah. Even the people that were in Riverdale were like, look, it makes no sense, but a check is a check. And I think that's exactly, when you compared it to Glee, that's exactly how Glee was. Like, everyone on the show would be like, nothing makes sense, but a check is a check. Yeah. We're getting paid.
I'm on network television. I am singing songs. I'm going on tour. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. It also reminds me of Pretty Little Liars. I don't know why Pretty Little Liars popped in my head, but like, I was just thinking about the whole, you talked about, you know, giving a grown man a striptease, and immediately I thought, or trying to date a teacher. Immediately I was like, no. Even when I was watching it when I was young, I was still like, Aria, girl, what are you doing? And then when her parents found out about it and like her dad was like kind of okay with it, I was like, alarm bells. What do you mean?
Yeah, I tried to watch Pretty Little Liars, but I couldn't really get into it because I read the books first. And it like strayed so far from the books that I was just like, to the point where certain storylines just didn't make sense anymore. I was like, okay, I know how this is supposed to go in a way that makes sense. So I'm not watching this anymore, because I'm just going to spend the entire show saying that's not how it went in the book. So like, which kind of, sorry, I know we're like getting off topic.
No, you're fine.
It reminds me of like how we're going to have the Twilight animated series.
What?
Yeah, there's going to be a Twilight animated series.
Jesus. Oh my gosh. Someone tell Robert Pattinson. Someone tell him.
He has like a good, I guess because it's been so long, he has like a better relationship with Twilight than he used to. Like now he's like, oh, I appreciate it, like for what it is.
Okay,
like he's
question. Like, have you seen him do the video for Letterboxd with the 4 favorites? They did the 4 favorites, and then they asked him a question afterwards. They're like, which movie of yours do you think is the most watched on Letterboxd? And he was like hesitating for so long, and he was like, Twilight? And they're like, no. And it was Harry Potter. It was like Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets. No, not Chamber of Secrets. The other one, the Goblet of Fire. That was what it was. And he was like, oh. And you see it as just like, I was in a Harry Potter movie. He fully forgot. He thought it was Twilight. Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked that it's not Twilight.
Girl, it might be, but I think they were like, let's not say Twilight, because you know.
Then again, like, Harry Potter had more fans than Twilight, I feel like.
Oh,
and it was out long.
The international phenomenon that it is. Yeah, girl. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so they're going to do, I think they're doing the Twilight series based on Midnight Sun. And
it's from his perspective, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but then again, like, I could be mixing things up. I know they're doing a Midnight Sun show, but I also can't remember if like they're also doing a Twilight. I could be conflating things, but I know they're doing a Twilight show. And it's animated.
Meyer, do you not have enough money? Like, girl, what's going on?
She's been laying low. I guess this might be another recession indicator. Because unlike J.K. Rowling, she kind of like put out her Twilight stuff. I was like, okay, I'm done. And then she's like, oh, by the way, here's Midnight Sun. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, so it's called Sink Your Teeth. No, that's not the name of it. But yeah, it is based off of Midnight Sun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be on Netflix, apparently.
There's a lot of like problematic aspects of Twilight that are very, very like...
Oh, yeah.
That are very like built into what the 2000s were, especially post 9/11 America. So what they're gonna have to do is either they can make it set in the 2000s where like the story takes place. I think it takes place in like 2006 or something like that. I would be fine to see a period piece, like an animated period piece taking place in 2006. I feel like that'd be fun. But also there's a lot of stuff they're probably going to have to change because it's like, you can't do that anymore. Because that's weird. Like, the way you portray like Indigenous people, can't do that. That's weird. The way that you portray like the misogyny, that's got to change because that's off-putting. Who's to say if they will? They might just keep it like to what it is, but I think, yeah. When I say like, it's whenever this kind of circles back to the conversation about Glee, they always talk about, we need a Glee reboot. No, we don't. We do not need a Glee reboot.
Who said that?
Lots of people. Lots of people say it.
And let me ask you a question. Did Jenna ever say that? Did Kevin? Oh, no, they didn't because they're good.
Yeah, they don't need a Glee. I guess, like, let's do Glee, but like a new cast of younger people. But also, I think Glee came at exactly the time it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, it exists in a universe that is squarely...
Wait a minute. They already did Glee for the new generation. It's High School Musical, the series. Yeah. Literally. It's not as messy, but like, it's singing, it's young people, and also they're all pretty young, you know, in the show. So I will take that over a Glee reboot. You guys can take that. If you're itching for young people singing, yes. Looking
at the cast of High School Musical, the series, I'm like, now I'm thinking like, if the cast of Glee looked that young, the storylines would probably hit so much harder.
Like, imagine a pregnant little girl who looked that young. Oh,
like teen pregnant, and they look 15 years old. It's like, oh, this. I guess the fact that they all look like grown adults makes it a little less weird. But like, it's wild when you're watching the show, like as a teenager, you're watching the show, you're like, yeah, they look older, but it's not as jarring. And then you're 30 watching it and you're like, these are grown adults. Like these people like have mortgages.
You have grown adults and then baby face Chris Colfer. Yes.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, we don't need a Glee reboot because truthfully, I don't think it would be handled well in 2025 or whenever it would come out. I think Glee's humor, I think Glee's storytelling, storylines, it would be difficult to have a good show because everything that Glee did was new when it happened. By this point in time, we've had so many teen shows that have done everything Glee has done. Aside from like the crazy stuff, like trapping two people in an elevator to hope that they get back together. And then there's like a Sue Sylvester puppet writing in, telling them that they need to kiss and make up. That won't happen on another show. But everything else, like
Sue Sylvester at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already had like, yeah, there's really nothing unless they just like completely do something completely different that I can't even fathom right now. I can't see them doing another Glee where it's like, oh, Will Schuester is retired and the new Glee instructor is like Sam.
I do want to say another thing that made Glee like so pivotal is the music that came out around the time because we had like people singing, we had Adele, and also like they did musical numbers in Glee as well. Like, there are times where I was watching Glee and they would be singing a song like, "A chair is still a chair, even when there's no one sitting there." And I'm like, they write original music? Me not knowing that's from an actual musical, because I don't know musicals like that yet. But, you know, you have, like, also these musical icons and legends coming on the show as well, like Idina Menzel, Kristen Chenoweth, you know, like, these amazing, amazing singers. And also around the time that Glee came out was when I think stars weren't doing like Instagram lives. They weren't really like focused on like Spotify streams. So other ways to get your music out, there were like different ways they're trying to like get people to listen to their music. And Glee was one of the factors that made a lot of people's music blow up overnight. Like Adele said in an interview, like, if your song gets on Glee, then like you've really made it. Like you've really gone there. And like, and that's Adele. That's Adele's on her album 19. Adele, yeah. You know, like she is singing, you know, "Make You Feel My Love," Adele, you know, "Turning Tables," Adele. And if we have Glee now, like, what are they gonna sing? Tate McRae?
Oh,
what are they gonna sing? Ben Boone?
Between 2015 and now, there's like 10 years of music that they could pull from, but it's like music shifted around the time the pandemic happened. So yeah, it's an even shorter timeline. And even then, like, I guess they could dip back into like the archives of stuff that they could have done on Glee but never did.
Maybe.
It's but I also think, again, like, because we live in the time we do, where like everything that could be done has already been done, it's very difficult to see. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a time when like right now we have TikTok, where if stars want to get famous, they put their song on TikTok and it blows up. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be like Glee, where it's like, we heard "We Are Young" by Fun for the very first time on Glee, and then it blew up and became like a Grammy nominated song, all because it like was on Glee first and got like chart success. And it's like we it's not going to be like that again. It's just not. Like, television has influence, it does, but not to the extent that it had in like 2011, 2012.
Also in Glee, they weren't really like, I don't remember if they were singing live or not, but like, you know, the studio recordings did numbers on like Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. But when you look at like the landscape now in terms of like television and movies, people aren't that interested in musicals. Like, yes, you had like the NBC musicals coming out on Thanksgiving that people liked. And yes, Wicked did very well. But then prior to Wicked, you know, you have like the live recording of musicals that also did well, like Waitress. People really like that one. Hamilton, that was on Disney Plus. And then you have Mean Girls the musical, which didn't really have live vocals. It had people lip syncing to recordings of their vocals, which is similar to Glee, but not as well mixed. So like, you have to think like, Glee, are you gonna have people singing live? Are you gonna have people like lip syncing? Like, how are you going to do the music, and how well are you gonna do it? Because yes, you could do a new Glee, but are we gonna have another Whitney Houston episode where you have a bunch of white people singing like songs by The Voice Whitney Houston?
Yeah. I hate that episode so much. They were like, the very first song in that episode was amazing. That was when they sang "How Will I Know." Beautiful. Harmony's fantastic. Acapella, a beautiful rendition. Yeah. And it was all down from there. And I was like, sure. But yeah, to your point, it's like, you have to have like unknowns, people who can sing, can act, can dance. And you have to have people, like, you have to completely shut them off from social media. Do not have them on social media. I don't want to know anything about them. Like, keep them, like the way that the Glee cast, they interacted with fans, but for the most part, we knew nothing about them.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I did follow Diana Agron on Tumblr. I did, because I really liked
me too.
Yeah. But other than that, like, we didn't know much about them.
Right.
So if they wanted to do a Glee reboot, again, I don't think they ever should, but if they wanted to, it would have to be either in a different universe entirely, where it's like, or not different universe, but a different school entirely, where it's like, McKinley High exists in this universe, but that's not where we are. We're here at a different school. And there might be times where like they interact with McKinley, like maybe they go to the same competitions, but like, let's tell a new story with new cast, new teachers, new location.
That's what they did with Bel Air.
Did they?
Yeah, the Fresh Prince reboot. It's
Oh,
basically
so
like it's basically a new story.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think they may be connected to like Uncle Carlton or something like that, but I'm pretty sure it's basically a new story.
So I'm confused.
I maybe it's I don't know. I haven't even watched that show, and I should watch it because Coco Jones is in that show.
Yeah, because I know that she plays Hillary, and there is a Carlton and a Will and an Ashley, but
Okay.
so the stories are like it's not basically retelling the stories from the original series, right? It's just like new stories with the same characters.
I think it's the same characters, but it's in the modern day. I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew that, but I wasn't sure if it was like there's like story points from the original series that they retell in a modern perspective, or if it's just like these are the characters, this is the general story, but like we're not going to go into like like when Carlton and Will got arrested for stealing the car, like that stuff. Anyway.
Do you have any final thoughts about the legacy of Ryan Murphy?
Ryan Murphy is a menace to society. Just a true menace to society.
And so is everyone who works with him.
Yes. Like I am thankful for everything he's given us. To an extent. I'm
Literally.
thankful for the way that like his work has impacted my life as a writer and as just a person. And again, I hate the fact that I can credit him with that because I'm like, I wish I could credit someone who didn't suck. Yeah. But like, people exist in complexities and multitudes. So I will give him that little bitty thing that because of him, I learned a lot more about my ability to exist as a writer, as someone who exists to analyze the art that I consume, a lot about my sexuality and who I am, like as a person. I can thank him for all those things. I don't want to, but I will. And I'm very interested in seeing later on down the road what his creations will end up creating, if that makes sense. Like you can see how kind of Glee split off to kind of influence other things. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of curious to see how his other works will like split off to influence other things. Like how will American Horror Story sort of influence how people write horror, or like how people write campy horror, how people write horror in television shows, things like that. So I'm fascinated. I'm wary, but I'm fascinated.
Yes, I would have to agree. I am incredibly wary of Ryan Murphy's new works. When I was doing research for the pod, I came across this project that was greenlit by FX, where essentially it stars Evan Peters, which is a surprise to no one, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, and this is a surprise, Ashton Kutcher. And this is a show called The Beauty. It's based off of a comic book series. And essentially, the comic book series is about an STD that makes those affected beautiful. And it's a disease that effectively kills its host as part of a sinister government plot. And when I read that, I was just like, this has many, many layers and many, many things that feel like Ryan Murphy. And should this be something that's made into a television show? No, not at all. But we're here now because, when people see Ryan Murphy's name and certain actors, they see publicity, they see money, and then they see prestige. Because the second that man won a Golden Globe, oh my gosh, it vindicated every single thing he did. The vindication he got from Dahmer, the one show that definitely did not need a vindication, like it sorry, it short circuited my brain.
No, I get it.
Go ahead.
Like, but also, yeah, the Golden Globe he got from Glee and from Dahmer, actually. Like, the first one was Glee, then it was like, oh, greenlight everything. Then Dahmer was the pivot, because it's like, oh, so he can do like serious stuff too. It's like, no, he can't. No, he can't. He can't do serious stuff. Stop letting him do serious stuff. But it's like, here we are.
Yeah, Hollywood executives don't really care about controversy because they're used to controversy. They just look at it as a badge of honor. So, yes. For me, Ryan Murphy is like Tyler Perry in a way. But the thing about Ryan Murphy is that white people get a pass in Hollywood more than like black people do, or any creatives of color. So with Tyler Perry, a lot of times people may be hesitant to criticize him because of the limited access that people of color have. And he is he is an entry point for a lot of actors. You know, like there are many actors that I've been seeing lately where if I look at their IMDb, they start off on some random Tyler Perry TV show or movie. And I'm like, oh, girl, you were in that? But then, like, you know, I can't really fault them for that. Like, Diamond White, she was in the show called Moon Girl and the Dinosaur on Disney Plus. It went on for, like, 4 seasons. And when I was looking at her IMDb, she was in the Medea Boo Halloween special or something like that. I was like, oh, girl. But, you know, like, I can't fault her. Yeah, a check is a check. It's a credit. You know, like, you were in a Tyler Perry movie. It's like, oh, so you're an actor. You're on a serious set with an accomplished, well-known director. So, okay, we could take you seriously as an actor. Like, that's what people need on their resume. So I understand that and I get it. With Ryan Murphy, even though he platforms so many like LGBTQ actors and creatives, he's still a white man at the end of the day. Even with like the representation he brings to screen, the things that he creates, girl, are they really worth all of this attention? Are they really worth all of the views that it gets? Like, I'm not saying you have to hit a home run every single time, but there are plenty of creatives that can hit a home run every single time, and their projects do not get greenlit in the same way that other people's do. Or they have one flop, and suddenly nobody wants to take them seriously. Like Ava DuVernay, A Wrinkle of Time is like her one flop, and then suddenly all her movies are getting limited releases, and for some reason she can't get nominated for an Oscar anymore. That seems to be impossible. I don't understand why, but I digress. I feel like Ryan Murphy is just like, he is kind of like the exception that Hollywood is giving, where it's like, see guys, we're not that homophobic. It's like, girl, Ryan Murphy, that's not a good case to make off of you guys, you know, being okay with gay people. Like, come on now, be serious. And I feel like Ryan Murphy is not, even though he like platforms a lot of queer people, we are not too far from him making a Luigi Mangione. I can never say his last name.
Luigi
Mangione, the alleged United Healthcare CEO shooter. We're not that far from him making some kind of
he will
docuseries about him, which I will grit my teeth when that is released on Netflix in 2030.
Yeah, it's interesting because the point that Ryan Murphy he is a gay man, is present, like his work is progressive, but when you watch it, especially if you're someone who is not white and is not a white gay person, you can see the way he speaks about like queer women, women of color, bi women, or bi people in general. Like it's like he'll put the representation in there, but the way it's written, it's still questionable.
Yeah.
Like yeah, Gabourey Sidibe was in American Horror Story, but she was also one of the only characters that was not treated like a viable romantic option for anyone. Like, sure, like he had Mercedes in the show, but Mercedes was not treated like a viable romantic option for anyone except for one character, and then only kind of, sort of. Like the way he treated Brittany, how like her bisexuality was invalidated consistently, or the way he treated Santana and how her like Latinidad was treated sort of like a running joke, not treated super seriously. And it's like, yes, we have representation, but it shouldn't be like, okay, I'll be in this Ryan Murphy project because he cares about representing people, when he's basically perpetuating the same shit in his own work. Like, if you can have all these marginalized people in your show, but if you're only placing focus and character development on the white ones, especially the straight white ones, it's like, so what is this all for?
They're basically just like decoration.
Yeah, point. It's like it kind of reminds me of like how people talk about 911 and how like there are all of these like queer people in the show or all these people of color in the show, but the fandom chooses to focus on these two white men. And it's like,
you guys have a lesbian couple in the show. Like, lesbian.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Ryan Murphy, like, has to, like, there can't be a show that, like, even with Pose in season 1, like, we had to have the white couple as the proxy for this show. And I'm sure that has a little bit to do with the network. It wouldn't surprise me if it was like, oh, we have to make sure that there's, like, recognizable faces in Evan Peters and Rooney Mara to get like the green light, and then you can like build.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, someone put Evan Peters in a real rom-com.
He deserves it. He always miserable in everything he's in. It's like, let him be like a cute little like a teacher, like an English teacher who's like a little bit dorky.
Oh my gosh. I completely forgot Rooney Mara was in Pose. And then when you mentioned it, I was like, I remember it. I remember everything vividly now. Oh Lord.
I think most people forget.
Rooney Mara, amazing actress. Like, I know that she was meant to be, like, something of an antagonist in the show, but, like, when she was talking, I was like, dang, I actually kind of feel sorry for her. A little bit, but not much, because, like, girl, your husband's the one that's for the girls, you know?
Yeah.
That's not my problem.
That's cheating. Like, take it up with him. But, yeah. Like, Ryan Murphy, like, even with Glee, as we saw, like, there's all these marginalized people in the show, but he still perpetuated the same shit where it was like the white straight couple got like the most screen time, the most like character development compared to everyone else. And it's like, okay, well, glad we're kind of getting to a point where we don't have to rely solely on television for representation. We can find it in other ways. We don't need to rely on random men in studios to see us as human beings. But, you know, it would be nice once in a while.
It would be appreciated. Also, Ryan Murphy could put one of the girls from Pose to one of his new projects since he has 7 of them coming out. MJ Rodriguez, hello?
He could. I'm sure she would say yes, maybe, possibly.
The actress who played Elektra, I think her name is Dominique. Yeah, she would definitely say yes. She's
been working a little bit. Like she's been modeling. She was doing like Mugler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she might go back into acting, but I think she's more like a fashion girly.
Girl, go for it then.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't know. If she was asked, she might say yes.
Go for it, queen. We love to see it. Guys, that's going to wrap up our conversation on the legacy of Ryan Murphy. So we're going to wrap up the pod talking about the next segment, which is Watch List, where we talk about movies and TV shows that we're excited to see that are coming out soon. And one movie that I'm excited to see, I mentioned this before, I think in another episode, but I want to see the movie The Amateur because I love Rami Malek. Bohemian Rhapsody, I really tried to like it, but I was just kind of like, ooh, maybe biopics are not my thing. But I really liked Mr. Robot, so the fact that he's in this movie makes me really happy. So I'm going to go see The Amateur pretty soon. I'm very excited to watch it. I know it's going to be really good. It's going to be amazing. And I'm going to have fun watching it as well. And I'm also watching this show called The Pit on Max. Oh my gosh, it's killing me, but you know what? I'm having a good time. I'm also watching Common Side Effects on Max as well. And then Smiling Friends, because I'm trying to catch up on my shows because I am far, far, far behind on everything that I'm supposed to be watching. And I'm also catching up on this anime called The Apothecary Diaries, which is a fun anime about a girl who is she's raised by an apothecary in the Pleasure District where she lives, and then she is kidnapped and taken to the palace in her prefecture, and then she becomes a taste tester for the emperor because she grew up trying poisons and testing stuff on herself. And she is not like other girls, but she's not like other girls in a way where it's actually endearing. And it's very funny, and I really enjoy it. I love it so much. She's very sarcastic, and it's like if Daria was anime. So I really enjoy it. I need to catch up on it because the only anime I've been watching is shonen, because my brother likes shonen anime, and I watch anime sometimes to like talk to him about it. But there are only so many fight scenes. There's only so many monsters. There's only so much violence I could take in an animation style. So I need to get back to my happy-go-lucky stuff. So those are the things that are on my watch list. And what's on your watch list, Naja?
Okay, so I really want to watch Sinners. The right, yes. Unfortunately, because everybody wants to be the first to talk about everything, I had to like mute it on social media because everyone decides they want to just say lines and talk about scenes. I'm like, shut up. It hasn't even been out 3 days. Let me catch it first. I might see that today. So I want to see that. I do want to watch The Pit because I've seen it all over social media. I've seen people talking about like how well written it is, how intense it is.
Very intense.
So I want to watch that. I promised my partner that I would watch Shogun with him.
Oh, fun.
It looks very interesting. It got so many awards. It looks beautifully shot. So I'm like, I'm not someone that likes to normally watch. Well, why am I lying? I was going to say I don't like shows with violence. I watched The Walking Dead. I watched like Game of Thrones. I can watch shows with violence. It's been a while. So I do want to see that because it looks fascinating. And then lastly, let me think. I kind of want to watch, I'm blanking on the name at the moment. It's like a show that's been out for a while. And I'm like, I'll get around to it. It's on my list. And then I never actually, Arrested Development.
Oh, Arrested Development. That's also been on my list for a million years.
I remember watching the first few episodes and thinking, this is funny, and then I didn't finish it. So I want to go back and watch it. I heard that the last season wasn't that great, but I do want to like see it and kind of, I want to understand the jokes. I want to laugh.
You want to get what everyone else is talking about.
Yeah. Like, I also think it might be good to watch it when the hype has died down a little bit, so I can like form my own perspective. And that's what's on my watch list.
Yay! Oh my gosh. You reminded me that I have to watch Arrested Development too. Is it still on Netflix?
Maybe.
I think it might be on Peacock now. I think it's an
it might be.
Yeah.
They moved a bunch of shows from like Netflix to like the individual platforms, and I'm like, fine.
It's like, okay, everybody wants a slice of the pie. I guess we'll just do it that way. That's fine, whatever. Yeah. But Naja, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of
this
course.
Is a good question.
Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Twitter and TikTok under Naja, NAWJUHH. Same name in both places. The stream of conscious rambling you've heard today is basically what both of my social media pages consist of. But yeah, like follow me, chat with me. I love conversation. I love pop culture stuff, and yeah, it'll be a great time.
Yay, guys! All of Naja's socials will be in description down below. So are ours. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for inviting me. I had fun.
I'm glad you had fun. Guys, don't forget to check her out on all our social media. It'll be down below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our Patreon. Tell your friends and family about your new favorite podcast. I've been meaning to watch that. And I'll see you guys next week with a new topic and a new guest like we do every single week. Bye.
Bye.